What's up? I'm back. I've returned to this land. I wanted to talk more about my language learning journey and how it's still going, 3 years strong. For those of you who may not know, if this is your first Sam Weiss video ever, I've been learning German. So today I wanted to talk about the fact that I have been learning German for, it has been, I think, just a little over 3 years. And I've been doing it with Duolingo. But I've been using Duolingo like way before that. I think I created my account in like 2014 or something. I did Spanish for a bit, and then I did Russian for a bit, and then German just stuck, you know? If you look at my streak, it's not quite at 1,000 at this current juncture, because I've been using streak freezes, because I've been doing it way longer than when I started German, etc., etc. It's been more than 1,000 days that I've been on Duolingo, but I'm just gonna say 1,000 because it's a nice round number, and I'm basically there. And I want it to look good and round and clean and nice. Here's where I'm at, after spending 1,000 days learning German on Duolingo. Okay, so if you've seen any of my previous videos, two in question that I want to bring up. The first one is called I'm Actually Learning German on Duolingo, and the second one is called 500 Days on Duolingo. So this is kind of like the threequel to those two, because my journey, I feel like, has changed quite a bit since those, and not in a bad way, not in a good way, just it has evolved, because where I'm at with learning the language has evolved. You gotta keep evolving, keep changing and growing. I feel like I sound like a rapper. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool of me to do that. Honestly, I did lose interest with Duolingo and learning. I don't know if I was losing interest with learning German, but with Duolingo, I think. This was before the update, by the way. I was just feeling like unmotivated about it. Like, I'm like, this is just repetitive in like not a good way. I almost stopped, I almost lost my streak, which probably isn't that dramatic, but felt very dramatic. There was like 3 days where I didn't do it. I'm like, I'm gonna stop doing this. And then I got scared and like bought a streak restorer. But since then, I have gone back into it. I wanted to also bring up that in my last couple of videos, the way I explained how I was learning was through the desktop website of Duolingo, not the app. But now I am basically exclusively on the app. At this point in my learning journey, the app is more appropriate to me. I did like the desktop, I said, because they didn't have the heart system of like, you make 5 mistakes, you can't play anymore, which I think is like so counterproductive, and I still sometimes it pisses me off. I think because the app got updated before the website. So there was like a gamification of the app. You get a certain amount of experience points, then you get a chest of gems, and then there's like little daily challenges you have to do and monthly challenges you have to do, and then friend quests. So that got people you knew involved, and you could like message them in real life and be like, do your quest today because I want to win. That like honestly really helped me when I was just kind of like disinterested with the app and like just doing the lessons over and over again. And I can see how sometimes that might be annoying, like the gamification of it, but I can also see how it brings maybe like casual learners in and helps you stay motivated for like an actual physical goal that you can see, as opposed to just like do your lessons and get it over with. So that's why I've been using the phone app instead of the desktop app now. But another reason is because I was doing it in the daytime before. Late morning was my Duolingo time. And now, I don't know, maybe it's because I like work in the daytime. I really enjoy doing Duolingo like before bed, in my bed, and I don't want my whole computer in bed with me, so I do it on my phone, and it's easy and quick and fun. I think also like now a lot more of my friends are doing it, and like I did say before, having friends on the app that you're friends with on the app helps to, yeah, just keep each other like accountable for doing your lesson that day or whatever. And I think if you're at a point where you're unmotivated, like try to find a friend of yours to do it with you, or like if you're thinking of getting into Duolingo, like get a friend or a friend group and be like, okay, we're all gonna learn Swedish together or whatever, and that's fun, and that'd be better too, because you can actually like go and like speak to each other and try to practice together. It's just a fun way to stay motivated. I think also currently what's changed is I was using different websites before and different tools. I explained in my first video that I was using like this huge document of vocabulary words. It was huge. So anytime I would come across a word that I'd learned but didn't remember, I would put it in this document. I basically don't use that at all anymore because to me, first of all, it's overwhelming AF. This is like pages and pages and pages of vocabulary words. Like I would add like 5 a day and then you do that for a whole year. That's a lot of words. I can't look at it anymore. It's not helpful for me. I think also where I am in my learning journey, a big vocabulary list like that, and I also used to use flashcards, is more about memorization. And I think that is useful when you start a language. But now I'm 3 years in, so I feel like to me, memorization is not important to me anymore. I don't need to sit there and keep practicing the word for dumplings over and over and over again. I'm more interested now in just like getting the language like feeling good in my head to like say a sentence out loud. You know, I've memorized a lot already. Now what I want to do is be able to feel more comfortable having a conversation. I guess a way to put it is like, okay, so I speak French fluently. I've been speaking it my whole life, but it is my second language. So when it came time to like doing my French classes at school, even though I've been speaking French since I learned to speak, there was some rules, grammar questions, and I'd answer them because I knew the rule in my head, but I didn't know why that was a rule. I don't know why we do it like that. And I think that's what I need to do for German, is just practice repetitively and like listen to it enough that I know that we do things this way, and then later I'll think about why do we do it that way. I think for me, it's very much about like, how does this sound? I know that it's like when you put something on the table in German, you'll say auf dem Tisch, because that's just the rule. And then I'll think later, oh yeah, because it's dative or whatever. It has been a couple months now that we've had the pathway, I think that's what it's called, on Duolingo, which is basically like, before they had like, okay, they had a lesson like shopping, right? And that was a circle. You did the 5 lessons in the circle, and it would change from purple to blue. And then you did 5 lessons again, and it would change from blue to green. So you would do each circle 5 times or whatever. So the learning path, instead of like being like, okay, do this one thing 5 times, now it spreads it all out. It's like a deck of cards that are like fan down. So you'll do your 5 lessons, but instead of doing this one again, you go to the next one. And it's basically just that, what they had, but it's all spread out. The problem with this is because before, when they were all smooched together, so let's say you finish 2, and then 3 new ones would appear, and you could pick which one you wanted to do, and that was fun. Or you could go back and green, make another one green. But now it's like, no, you have to do all of it. You have to do the whole thing for shopping. You have to learn everything about shopping right now. And you might go into it being like, oh, that's boring. I want to do the 5 lessons for shopping and then I want to move on. But now they force you to do it. Now it's repetitive. And honestly, it's working for me. I hate to say it because I feel like so many people dislike the learning path. But I think where I am right now in my learning journey, I need to get it so repetitive that by the end of it, I'm like, I understand that we need to do this now. I don't necessarily know why. Because another thing, I have lots of opinions. They'll put the notes like, okay, they used to have, so your circle, right? You clicked on it and there was a little key. Or was it the key? And you could click on it and they had like notes of grammar rules or whatever. Here's the grammar we're gonna go over. And now I feel like they have that at the top of the whole section of the path. You click on it and it'll be like, here's some sentences you might look over. So it's less explaining. It doesn't explain to you why we do a certain thing. It's more, here's what you're gonna do. Don't ask questions. But for me right now, honestly, it's working. I'm getting it like so in my head. So that's another thing why I think I'm more interested, because I think the learning path actually is making me feel like I'm learning and getting more fluent, if you will. I'm not fluent yet. Other differences now, it's like, yeah, before I was saying I was using other things outside of Duolingo to learn, and now I'm basically exclusively on just Duolingo. One thing is I do try to like watch TV shows or movies or whatever, and could I just recommend the great television show 1899 on Netflix? They speak German, but they also speak English and French and Spanish, and I think Polish and Mandarin and Danish. They have everything. So if you're learning any of those languages, like, check it out. Another thing, by the way, that I don't like about the like learning path, there's so much, it's spread out. Like I said, it's like that deck of cards they spread out. The page is so long. If you want to go look at a certain thing all the way down here or all the way up there, you're scrolling for days and miles. And I don't know, maybe they could like, you know, make it so that like it folds in and then you can click it and it folds out again. I don't know, just an idea for the developers, just an idea. Oh yeah, I think another thing that's kept me more motivated these days is I'm learning a new language. I've added a new language just to see. So I'm learning Danish because why? I don't know. I heard it being spoken for like the first time and I was like, this is kind of crazy. She's crazy. I like that. It's so weird and different. I honestly was like, oh, it's just like German. It is not. And like they don't pronounce half their consonants. So I started Danish to be like, what's she about? What's her story? And it's been interesting to just see how different a language can be. Like they don't have the word the. What are they doing? Yeah, and I think that helps a lot. And I think, you know, in my previous video, how I'm actually learning German on Duolingo is a more appropriate to, yeah, when you first start learning a language. So right now I actually do want to make like a vocabulary list for Danish because there's so many different words and the words change if you add the, like they put that in the word, if they're plural, like things are different. So I really want to like have, you know, that school thing of like, let me write it down so I can feel it in my hand writing it down. But I also wanted to touch on, because a lot of people maybe watching this might be like, I'm thinking about starting to learn a new language, or I just started learning a new language. It's daunting because it's really hard to learn a language and it's really overwhelming, especially as we get older. Our brains aren't as malleable as when we're a kid and we can just pick up Spanish because we're watching Dora the Explorer. I don't know. But I'm here to say, I think it's okay to start learning a language on Duolingo and giving up after 3 weeks. Whoa, crazy. And you shouldn't feel like you failed. Because first of all, when you're learning anything, an instrument, a language, coding, improv, I don't know, you never finish. There's always more to learn. There's always gonna be more to learn. So you don't have to feel bad about just starting a language and then like stopping after a month, because you're still gonna know more about that language and how it works than when you started it. So you're still expanding your mind and seeing things from a different point of view, and you know, maybe, don't be scared. Maybe you'll actually love it and want to keep doing it forever and ever. Learning is a constant journey. I think the last thing I'll say is like, being on Duolingo this long, I'm not gonna be fluent in the language of German if I'm just doing this. It's helping me, I'm getting better, but unless I am like married to someone who speaks German and we practice every single day, or unless I go and move to a German-speaking country and speak it and am surrounded by it every single day, I don't think I'm ever going to be fluent. And like, you know, that's okay. I think that's my expectations right now, and it's helping me work my brain. So I think that's something you should keep in mind when you do start a language, but it's a really, really good basis to start from, because then, you know, the next step can always be like, I'm gonna go take a class now. But as a free resource, Duolingo is pretty good, even though I have my gripes with it. Ooh, do I have my opinions? But it's free, again. And I think people have like comments on my videos criticizing, being like, Duolingo sucks, man. I go to the Goethe Learning Institute, and it's like, good for you for being rich. I'm not that. All my money goes to rent. I live in Toronto, okay? Enjoy your riches. I bet you don't share a Netflix account. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, I mean, put them in the comments, people. Oh, please be nice to me. I have an anxiety disorder. Okay, bye everybody, and happy learning, and auf Wiedersehen.